Snatching up a shield, he pushed himself to the front line of the legion, bolstering the morale of the men. With the 7th Legion... Boss! Julius Caesar!
We're continuing this. I haven't forgot.
By the spring of 57 BC, Caesar had successfully dealt with the Helvetii and Suebi threat. The Gallic tribes in the area had either been vassalized or their lands were occupied by the Roman legions. However, in the north of Gaul, a group of tribes was forming an alliance to oppose the Romans. These were the Belgae, and they would prove to be one of Caesar's fiercest enemies. This video is sponsored by
Even more? Jeez, man, the last episode that we did, I mean, that tribe was already like they were very, what's the word? Oh crap, I can't think of the word. I am very slow. Difficult. They were very difficult. They were very hard to deal with. And now we have an even harder tribe. Okay.
The Belgae were a loose collection of various tribes, and had fought constant wars with the Germanic tribes across the Rhine, which had fostered a strong and experienced warrior culture. They
look much bigger than what we dealt with in the last episode.
Knew of how successful Caesar had been in Gaul already, and were justifiably suspicious of his intentions. To counter the rising Roman threat, the Belgae formed a confederation, led by King Galba of the Suessiones.
This reminds me, and someone even commented this on one of my, I think this was my Epic History TV video on the America's first defeat by the natives. This kind of reminds me of Tecumseh, you know, how the Native Americans tried to form a confederation to try and stop the American expansion from taking over their lands. Very, very similar. Very, very interesting. Let us continue.
Labienus sent word of this coalition to Caesar in Cisalpine Gaul, who immediately took action. Caesar raised a further 2 legions and moved straight to the Belgae border. It is worth noting that Caesar now had 8 legions under his command, approximately 44,000 men, including auxiliaries, double the amount he had initially been allocated by the Senate.
Yeah,
furthermore,
I was gonna say that is 40,000, dude. That's big. that's like holy. That is holy 40, dude. The more I think about that, the more I realize how massive that is.
While the Belgae raising an army could certainly be seen as a potential threat, Caesar made no efforts to get the casus bellus he had when fighting the Helvetii and Suebi. The Republic had less and less control over Caesar, and many in Rome were beginning to talk about these conquests not being in Rome's best interest, but in Caesar's.
Oh, is that true? Is that true? Is that actually? Oh wow. I look forward to doing the Historia Civilis Caesar reaction. I did the Cato reaction yesterday. You can go check that out after this video, but interesting. What is Caesar cooking?
Caesar marched his legions quickly into the territory of the nearest Belgic tribe, the Remi, who were completely taken aback by the speed at which the Romans had been able to mobilize, and surrendered instantly, swearing to Caesar that they had never been a part of the confederation. The Remi even provided Caesar with all the information they had on the alliance, including which tribes were involved, how many men each tribe was contributing, and that they were currently marching towards the Remi's territory.
Why did they just give up all of that information? What is it? Well, then again, Caesar had 40,000 men. So I don't know. I guess that's why. But still, I get it. Like, you know, he has 40,000 men. Why would they give up the extra information, right? I don't know. I'm very like ignorant about this period of time, so which is why I'm I'm like reacting to it because I'm like, if I'm gonna like learn about it, I might as well put a camera on my face, and just show my reaction to it, and ask questions, because usually there's someone in my comments who usually tend to have an answer to my question. So but this is how I look at it, right? They were vassalized, or they joined Caesar, I guess. Did they lie about being a part of the confederation? Because it showed that they were. So were they actually not a part of the confederation? And not just that, I just don't understand why they would give extra info, right? Like, why would they give extra info? It's like, okay, submit, that's it. I don't know, man. I think that extra info was just so unnecessary. You telling me that Caesar was that intimidating, right? Let us continue.
Including which tribes were involved, how many men each tribe was contributing, and that they were currently marching towards the Remi's territory. With this information, Caesar convinced his Gallic allies, the Aedui, led now by Divitiacus, to invade the lands of the Belgae, a powerful Belgae tribe, to open a second front, while he marched towards the Belgic alliance's main army.
Belgic. Hey, is that a coincidence that this is around kind of sort of the Belgian region? Belgic. Is that a coincidence? Like, does the name Belgium and Belgic have some type of connection? Or is that just like just a major coincidence? Very interesting. Someone please answer that for me.
To invade the lands of the Belgae, a powerful Belgae tribe, to open a second
Belgae.
front, while he marched towards the Belgic alliance's main army.
Belgae. I swear that name, does that have a connection to like the country Belgium? Like the name, because Belgium is like French, German, and Dutch. There is no like distinct ethnicity, but I'm talking about the name Belgium, right? Interesting.
Towards the Belgic alliance's main army. Caesar crossed a bridge over the Axona River and encamped in a strong position on a hill on the other side. The river provided protection from the rear, and marshy land at his front made a frontal assault difficult. Furthermore, Caesar had learned his lesson from fighting Ariovistus and left 6 cohorts in a well-fortified position on the other side of the bridge, securing his supply line. With no chance of being starved out from his position, Caesar waited for the Belgae to make their move.
Hey, okay.
Meanwhile, the Belgae had marched to the Remi town of Bibrax, just 8 miles from where Caesar was encamped, and besieged it. Caesar gives the total number of the confederation as 300,000. However, it is unclear.
300,000? Like total population? Or 300,000 troops? What the holy... I don't want to curse. Sometimes I get so shocked by this that I automatically like say a curse word, like just like out of the blue, and I don't want you to just smite down my channel. So let's continue.
From where Caesar was encamped and besieged it. Caesar gives the total number of the confederation as 300,000. However, it is unclear how much this number is exaggerated and how many of these men were currently in the army. A more realistic estimation would be somewhere around 80,000 men. Still a force to be reckoned with, almost double that of Caesar's.
Yeah, that's still... In the face
of such a large force, the Remi sent messages to Caesar saying that they would be unable to hold the town without his help. Caesar, however, was reluctant to give up his defensive position, as he thought that the attack on Bibrax was a trap designed to force him to do that. Instead,
I was thinking the same thing. Right? Because like the way how this is, I don't know. I don't want to say anything yet, but that's the vibe that I'm getting from this, right? Like, I don't know. Let's see. Let's not say anything. I'm gonna let it play. You know.
The attack on Bibrax was a trap designed to force him to do that. Instead, he kept his legions in camp, but sent a substantial contingent of auxiliaries, composed mainly of Cretan archers and Balearic slingers, to sneak into Bibrax to help the Remi. With Bibrax thus reinforced, and Caesar not taking the bait, Galba instead marched his army to meet the Romans, encamping just 2 miles from the Roman camp.
So it was a trap. It was okay, yeah.
Caesar was reluctant to engage Galba.
Such an obvious trap, bro. Like, come on, really? Like, come on, bro. Like, you gotta do better than that. Like, come on. Really? Oh my gosh. Imagine falling for a trap that freaking obvious, right? Oh my gosh, embarrassing. That is actually embarrassing.
Caesar was reluctant to engage Galba straight away, and instead focused on cavalry skirmishes to test the strength of the Belgae.
Smart.
While this was going on, he further reinforced his position, digging long trenches and constructing defensive towers on the flanks of his position.
Nah, so you're telling me that trench warfare was a... trenches were a thing in this era? Wow, I didn't know trenches were that old. What era is this? Holy, 57 BC? So you're telling me the concept of trenches were like more than 2,000 years old? What? Okay, that is actually wild to me. Damn, I thought trenches were like invented because of like kind of like guns, you know, like to stop from guns and projectiles, you know, and like missiles. And when I mean missiles, I mean like, you know, like not like a big rocket thing, but any, like, you know, basically the same thing as projectile. But I didn't know trenches were that old. Like, actually, what I did do my Belisarius reaction, he did use trenches, but the thing, that was like hundreds of years later. Still quite old though, but I didn't think that trenches were a thing freaking before the year AD, right? Freaking BC, what the heck? 57 BC, 57 years before Christ was born, trenches were a thing, what the heck? Oh, bloody hell. Let's not laugh too much because my back is hurting me.
While this was going on, he further reinforced his position, digging long trenches and constructing defensive towers on the flanks of his position. Realizing that attacking such a strong position would be suicidal, Galba instead sent roughly 15 to 20,000 men to ford the river and attack the 6 cohorts on the other side, hoping either to draw Caesar from the hill or to cut off his supply line and starve him out. Seeing this, Caesar gathered all his light infantry and cavalry and marched quickly to oppose the crossing, leaving his legions in their defensive position. The Roman cavalry
he really does not want to give up that defense position, and I can see why. I can see why.
Arrived just in time and fell upon the few Belgae who had made it to the other bank, killing many and forcing them back into the river. At the same time, the Roman missile troops peppered the Belgae still in the water with stones, javelins and arrows. They doggedly tried to continue their crossing despite taking heavy casualties, but Galba had no choice but to pull his men back. To make matters worse, word had now reached him that the Aedui were rampaging through the Belgae lands. With the Romans to his front so heavily dug in, and with another army now threatening his flank, Galba decided to withdraw. The tribes would all disperse to their respective homelands, but all agreed to reassemble if the Romans marched further into Belgae lands. As the Confederation's army dispersed, Caesar cautiously pursued with his cavalry and 3 legions under Labienus, harassing the Belgae. Due to their lack of coordination, the Belgae suffered heavy casualties in this retreat. The battle had cost the Confederation approximately 10,000 men and had forced the tribes to divide, making them easier for Caesar to conquer. Many tribes simply surrendered in the face of the Roman legions, including the Belgae and Galba's Suesiones.
Oh man, instead of it being at gunpoint, it's at sword point. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I wish people I wish there was a term for that. Is there a term for that? Like adhering to demands with a sword, basically like at your throat? Because I know with gun, it's at gunpoint, but I'm just saying sword point because I don't know any term for that. You know what I mean? But this is kind of underwhelming. This confederation seems very powerful, seems to have the potential to stop Caesar, but right now this is just very underwhelming. Like, I expected much more, but we still have a little bit of the video. So before I say anything, let's see.
Many tribes simply surrendered in the face of the Roman legions, including the Belgae and Galba's Suesiones. However, deeper in Belgae territory, the Nervii did have the time to organize and were not going to give up so easily.
Okay.
They were outraged by Caesar's foray into Belgae territory, and alongside their neighbors, the Virumandui, Atrebates, and Aduatuci, were able to gather an army of approximately 50,000 men, led by the Nervii king, Bogdugnatus.
Is it gonna get intense? Is it gonna get crazy now? Is this where it gets crazy? Let's see.
Caesar, hearing that this force was gathering against him, marched for the river Sabis on the edge of Nervii territory. Bogdugnatus had learned the lesson from Galba and knew that he could not allow the Romans the chance to fortify their position, and so he positioned his men in ambush on a hill on the other side of the river. He also had his troops construct hedge-like obstructions, which were placed on the other side of the river to disrupt the Roman formations and cavalry. Caesar marched.
These tribes are a lot smarter than I realized. Like, it kind of blows my mind. And in my previous reaction that I did to this, a lot of people in my comments, well, some people, they explained to me that the tribes weren't really tribes, they were just as civilized as the Romans. But it still kind of blows my mind how well coordinated and very intelligent, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, maybe I'm underestimating them a bit too much, because I'm so used to hearing like Roman propaganda that still persists throughout history, that, oh my gosh, these were barbarians, uncivilized people. I don't know, I guess I listened to too much. I gotta unbrainwash myself of that Roman propaganda. Alright, let's continue.
Side of the river to disrupt the Roman formations and cavalry. Caesar marched his army in two groups. His veteran 6 legions, who marched in the front, were the first to reach the river and began constructing a camp on the hill with the river in front, while the 2 newer legions marched behind with the baggage train. Caesar sent his cavalry and light infantry across the river, which was only 3 feet deep, in order to scout the opposite bank. They were met by some Nervii cavalry, and a brief skirmish broke out. However, the Belgae cavalry fell back, drawing in the Romans until the entire Nervii force broke cover and fell upon them. The Roman cavalry and light infantry broke and ran back across the river to the Roman camp, the Nervii army in hot pursuit. Thus started the Battle of the Sabis River.
Okay. Now, Now this is where it gets good. Okay. Okay. I've been waiting for this moment. Let's see what happens.
The Belgae moved from the woods and across the river so fast that the legions had almost no time to prepare.
Wow.
However, their experience and discipline kicked in. Rallying to the nearest cohort and legionary standards, they were able to put together a coherent battle line.
What the heck? What the heck? Bro, I swear, if these people weren't like Romans, if these people were, if the Belgae, not Belgian, if the Belgae were fighting against anyone else, probably would have won. But like, how in the world were they able to get in a cohesive line that quickly? That discipline is madness to me. That is some crazy level of discipline. Holy heck, man. Honestly, that's just so impressive to me. What the heck? Oh my gosh, man.
Their experience and discipline kicked in. Rallying to the nearest cohort and legionary standards, they were able to put together a coherent battle line. But as the legionary engineers did not have time to clear the campsite as they usually would, the legions were divided by the hedge-like obstructions laid down by Bodugnatus, which prevented them from forming a cohesive formation. As a result, the legions were almost fighting three separate battles: the 10th and the 9th on the left against the Atrebati, the 11th and 8th in the center against the Virumandui, and the 12th and 7th on the right against the largest group, the Nervii, with 2 remaining legions still with the baggage train yet to join the battle. The fighting was brutal, with Caesar himself going from group to group, encouraging his men. Eventually,
Okay, Caesar. Okay. You know, Caesar being cheerleader. Caesar the cheerleader. Tell me that's not a fire name. Tell me that's not a fire name. Nah, bro. Caesar being a hype beast. Even I'm hype. And I'm not even there.
The fighting was brutal, with Caesar himself going from group to group, encouraging his men.
Yeah, do it, Caesar!
The Roman left was able to push their enemy back enough to hurl their javelins into their ranks and charge. They were able to force the Atrebati back across the river, even making it into the Belgae camp. The Roman center was also finding success, pushing the Virumandui down to the banks of the river. However, the Roman right was having a hard time. With the center pushing forwards, the Nervii poured into the gap, almost surrounding the 12th and 7th legions and falling upon the auxiliaries who had retreated to the camp. The remaining auxiliaries, including most of the Roman cavalry who
How is this going to end?
had been marching in front of the baggage train, saw this and fled, assuming the Roman right had been completely destroyed and the battle lost. They were not without reason. The 12 had lost their standard, their chief centurion, most of the other centurions, and the Romans were beginning to break. Seeing this disaster, Caesar knew he would have to do something or risk losing the whole campaign. Snatching up a shield, he pushed himself to the front line of the legion, bolstering the morale of the men. With the 7th legion,
Boss, this dude went all the way into the heat of battle, risking his life. Oh my gosh, that is boss, bro. And the fact he pushed himself. This dude, oh my, bruh. This is like equivalent to a gunfight happening and everyone is running away. But that one Rambo mad lad is like running towards the fire. He's like, where are you going? The shots are that way. This is the energy that I get from this, right? Oh my gosh, dude. What a boss. What a boss. Giga Chad. Ultra Giga Chad. Boss Caesar.
or risk losing the whole campaign. Snatching up a shield, he pushed himself to the front line of the legion, bolstering the morale of the men. With the 7th Legion under heavy pressure as well, Caesar ordered them to form a defensive square with the 12th and hold their ground. At this point, the battle began to swing in the Romans' favour. Labienus, in charge of the 10th and 9th Legions, saw what was happening from the other side of the river and sent the 10th to relieve the Roman right, while the remaining 2 legions had finally joined the battle and were attacking the Nervii in the Roman camp. The Roman auxiliary cavalry also returned to the battle, seeing this change in fortune, and now it was the Nervii who faced disaster. The Virimandui had fled upon seeing the Roman reinforcements, and the Nervii were now surrounded. They fought bravely, and even Caesar commended them later, but their defeat was now inevitable.
Yeah, it's over. GG. Good game,
the Belgae
honestly.
Casualties were devastating, Caesar saying that just 500 survived the battle. The Roman losses had also been high, with perhaps as many as 5,000 Romans dead. Without Caesar's personal leadership and the timely interventions of the legions, it is likely that the battle would have been lost, Caesar killed, and
Yep. Caesar, oh my gosh, dude. I don't know how is Caesar pulling off these miracles? Blows my mind. The more I learn about Caesar, the more I respect this guy. Because before, I heard about Caesar. Everyone was like, oh my god, Caesar, oh, so hype. But I never really understood, like, why. But now that I'm actually, like, learning this, this guy deserves all the hype that he gets. Okay. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not knowing how great he was, alright? Like, oh my gosh, dude. I have so much to freaking learn, alright? I have so much to learn. But that's great, because, the more I learn, the more content I produce, and the more, you people enjoy me learning. Because who doesn't like watching someone learn new things, am I right? It's very enjoyable.
Without Caesar's personal leadership and the timely interventions of the legions, it is likely that the battle would have been lost, Caesar killed, and the campaign ended. But the battle was over, and Caesar was once again victorious. The Nervii surrendered, becoming a vassal of Rome, and the Atrebati were conquered soon after. Rome was now in control of most.
Wait, weren't these people a part of the confederation? Why are they not a part of the confederation anymore? What?
Of Gaul. New videos on Caesar's campaign in Gaul will be released soon, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have pressed the bell button.
Oh my gosh. That was a banger. That was a banger. If you made it all the way to this part, bruh, make sure you subscribe. Because you made it all the way to the end, so, you like what I have to say, you like my reaction, so definitely make sure to subscribe for more. I'm going to be posting reactions every day, even through thick and thin. So if you want to support me, just like the video, help YouTube keep it on the algorithm. You know what I mean, right? Gotta keep that fire going, right? But that was a good one. I honestly do enjoy learning more about this. But anyways, it is like 1 a.m. in the morning and I have work tomorrow. So stay tuned and goodbye.